Everyone. Welcome to the stream. So, we are less than 24 hours since the Charlie Kirk shooting in Arizona. It seems like they did not catch the shooter yet. There was reports of people being caught and then let go. There was this famous picture of an old man being restrained and taken away. It turns out not to be him. And there have been rumors going around. Now there is reporting that they found shell casings that had transgender and Antifa slogans on them. This could be, we could speculate. I mean, it's probably someone who's identified with those ideologies. It could also be a false flag. Somebody could post that on their casings to frame the political side that they don't like. But more likely, false flags are always less likely than things than things being basically what they seem like. So actually, maybe I should check the New York Times website right now and just see if there's anything new. Gunmen of college age. So it's a gunmen. So this is a this is a man. This is a man, right? So if it is a transsexual individual, and they seem to, people with trans identity seem to be involved in a lot of shootings. Yeah, they say it's a man, so it indicates there is no kind of gender ambiguity here. Sometimes there used to be a practice of not identifying when someone was trans. I think that, in a case like this, especially since we've moved a little bit away from wokeness, and just because there's such a public interest in identifying who this person is, like I don't think they would do that in this case. So I would guess that if it's a man, it would be someone who is a man and just as a cis man, but who knows? Maybe someone who passes really well as a man who's a woman. We always assume that trans is going to be male to female, but then there was at least one shooting that was female to male. So the trans identity really is a kind of something that mentally disturbed people glom onto. So of course, this thing is of course a tragedy. Some people were upset that I wrote about it the other day, and other people were were reaching out and saying what you were saying makes a lot of sense, and we're glad that someone is saying it. And the Charlie Kirk piece I wrote the other day was a lot of people unsubscribed, and then a lot of people subscribed too. So it's a big turnover. It's kind of a shedding of the followers. People get really upset. People get upset more about stuff like this than they do on policy takes. People really do want to feel like you're on their team. They're kind of hurting in moments like this, and they want to feel like you're reinforcing the things that they think that they believe, and the things that they think they're seeing. Now, uh, the the idea that like you should wait maybe until a few days or something like that, or I don't know how long. Somebody said take the economist route. One of the commentators said take the economist route, and like you don't have takes, just like wait for a while until you gather your thoughts and things happen and you could see what happened and so forth. Like I'm not the economist, obviously, and the problem is that people are going there is a discourse already. I can't pretend like there is no discourse. There are people like Elon Musk is going out there and saying the left is a party of murder. Here's the biggest person on Twitter, one of the most famous men in the world, and he's saying half the political spectrum is responsible for this. Do we say nothing? Do we just let these people go on saying that basically half the country is responsible for this murder? Somebody has to speak up against it, and there's policy implications. Like today, there's people in the administration who are in group chats right now thinking what they should do to crack down on the left, and maybe something will come of it, maybe nothing will come of it, but like people are thinking about a policy response in the hours and in the day or two. There's no like, oh, go away for a week or go away for 2 weeks and come back. No, there's going to be a policy implication. There's going to be a cultural implication within 1 week. I can't go sleep and come back and put everything on pause, because it's not on pause. Things are moving. Things are moving forward, and so we have a responsibility to talk, if to speak our opinions, even in the moment. If there was a cultural norm where everyone was not speaking about something, like we took like a week as like a country and just did not do that, I think that would be great. That's not the world we live in, though, because Elon Musk goes on Twitter, and he's such a terrible person, goes on Twitter and says, the left, he doesn't even know who killed, it could have been it could have been some far right wing person. There's a lot of far right wing people who don't like Charlie Kirk. You don't know, it's probably a left wing person. Most likely it's like his political opponent, but he doesn't know that. And he's just going and he's saying the left is the party of murder. Like, what kind of person is this? And so, like, somebody has to be pushing back on it. I don't think if it's a leftist, if it's a rightist, it doesn't matter, because if it's, unless there's like a large conspiracy, which is unlikely. If it's one person does not mean anything. As far as like telling you politically where we are as a country. Gabby Giffords, was a congresswoman, Democrat. She got shot in the head and survived. She wasn't any remarkable in any way. She wasn't known for being like an extremist or a very famous person. She was just a congresswoman. Someone shot her. It doesn't mean there's like a war on it doesn't mean that there's a war on moderate Democrats. Now, this thing where they say the left is cheering for this. There is this thing that Republicans and conservatives increasingly do, which is not fair, and they're not seeing the world rationally. They whenever something like this happens, every single Democrat in a position of party, a position of power or influence, says that that's wrong. They don't spread conspiracy theories. They don't say anyone deserves it. If there was one congressman, if there was one governor, if there was one guy in MSNBC who said, maybe, Charlie Kirk said some bad things, and he got fired. He got fired the same day, a few hours. He said something, he was fired within a few hours. That's it. That's all you can find as far as like real people in the real world. Some people say, I'm not going to mourn his death. Okay, people have a right to say, I'm not going to mourn his death. Okay. The people who actually are celebrating and saying it's a good thing is basically zero as far as the Democratic Party is. Zero. It's literally zero. If you hate the Democratic Party, you know that you're aiming at the wrong, and because of this, you're aiming at the wrong target. Okay. Now there are people, you can go on Blue Sky, you could go on TikTok, I'm sure, even some on Twitter, and you can find a lot of people who are cheering Charlie Kirk's death. These people have zero connection to the mainstream Democratic Party. So people do this thing where they say the left all wants you dead. They will go to Blue Sky and then say, look at these people on Blue Sky who are anonymous. Not even the biggest people on Blue Sky for the most part. Very, very few. I mean, the biggest account I found was about 16,000. And then they will go and say, this is why Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries and Joe Biden want you dead. This is why there's no hope for living in a country with these people. This is why we need, preparing for civil war. This is why we need Democrats. We need to be declaring Democrats domestic extremist organization. This is nuts and has no connection to the reality of your actual political opponents, who are people who do not believe in killing their political opponents and who do not in any way justify or apologize for this behavior. So you cannot go for Blue Sky and say, because I see people on Blue Sky, the Democratic Party has something wrong with it. Right. So this thing of the left, it's like the left is the people who say this, but then I say, okay, Barack Obama didn't say this. Joe Biden didn't say this. Kamala Harris didn't say, well, there's a black guy. There's somebody called Black OG Black Red Guard on Twitter, a black Maoist. That guy, that guy is the left. And so, yeah, there is a left like that. Those people are like the left. But if you want to say that like Blue Sky communists are terrible people, and we should all hate them and we should all denounce them, fine. But if you want to say something about your dislike of the Democratic Party as a result, and look, on the way it's going to get spun on like Fox News and like by Donald Trump and Elon Musk, it's going to be putting the blame on the Democratic Party. And so this is just completely unjustified, and someone has to speak up against this. There was a collage put out of tweets from right-wing influencers like Libs of TikTok and this Orrin McIntyre guy, and these people who are just the most awful people saying, war, they want you dead. And it's like, who's they? Yeah, there's a communist. There's a communist somewhere who wants you dead. Communists are bad. Who loves their? I won't say JD Vance loves their economic policies, but because he sort of does. And Steve Bannon said the nicest. The closest thing I saw to anyone who's big making an apology for Luigi Mangione was Steve Bannon. But of course that doesn't matter. Okay, so that doesn't matter to the right. This idea, like, this is a blood libel. on the Democratic Party. And so I don't like blood libels. I don't like blaming an entire half of the country for something which the Democrats have done a very good job actually of rejecting compared to the Republican Party. Now, like you don't want to, what aboutism? We can look at the other side, right? If your people are upset at Democrats and think that they're such terrible people, go back to when Paul Pelosi was attacked by a hammer. And in that case, it wasn't just anonymous people on the internet who were making stuff up and laughing about it and making memes about it. It was Donald Trump Jr. It was Elon Musk. Tucker Carlson. It was Marjorie Taylor Greene. It was Ted Cruz. The New York Times. Go look up my article. Left wing ideas are not conspiracy theories. Left wing ideology is not conspiracy theories. Something like that. You Google it, it'll come up. These people were the top people in the Republican Party in the conservative movement, and they are basically laughing at a man being attacked at a hammer with a helmet. You won't find a single Democrat who behaves like Elon Musk did in that situation, or Donald Trump, or Tucker Carlson, right? And so it is like, if you want to say they hate you and they have like a moral depravity, it's your side that has the moral depravity. Someone says, "How about Reddit, Richard?" Who cares about Reddit? There are bad people on Reddit. Okay, and if some Democrat got killed, there would be people. You could go out on the internet somewhere and you could find people who will celebrate. You will find people who celebrate any death, right? Any death of any prominent person. That's true. The problem is the Republican side, the conservative side, has its most influential people being like Donald Trump, Tucker Carlson, Elon Musk. There is nobody on the Democratic side, not Biden or Kamala Harris or Barack Obama or Chuck Schumer, who is nearly as bad as Donald Trump and Musk. So in any situation, like, there's going to be crazy people out there. What political elites should be doing is not contributing it to it, not riling these people up, not playing into it. But the Democratic side does do that. They do not hang out with the Mangione fans. They don't do that. They denounce it. They say the exact thing you're supposed to say every time there's a situation like this. Republicans do not do that. They go out of their way to say the left is the enemy. They overgeneralize. They exaggerate. They talk about civil war. They talk about people being enemies of the people, and so forth. And so it is, it is like crazy to kind of watch this discussion of, oh my God, we're in civil war. All these people want you dead. Like, no, all the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Atlantic, it's like they pay attention to the media when the media is like, the media does something they don't like. So when the media like praises BLM or has some COVID hysteria or something, it's, oh my God, look what the media is doing. And then when the media says the right thing, when they all say 100% of them say, this is not something we can justify. Ezra Klein had a very nice tribute to Charlie Kirk in the New York Times today. In that case, we just ignore it. And then we go to blue sky. We want, the conservatives, they want the narrative first, and then they will find whatever person, no matter how much they have to dig, they have to find the person who says the thing that gives them this persecution complex. And Democrats, there was recently a shooting of a Democratic state rep in Minnesota who was killed along with her husband, and a state senator was also killed. And Democrats, and it was like Mike Lee, sorry, was saying, this is the left, like Nightmare on Wall Street or something like that. He was blaming the Democrats, and I haven't been paying attention. Last I heard, the guy was a pro-life lunatic. I think that's probably the case. He might have more news might have been come out, but I think he was targeting Democrats. He was targeting Democrats, and both houses of the Minnesota legislature were very close, so it made a difference. It seemed like this was kind of a case of right-wing political violence, and I mean, it's another case in addition to the Paul Pelosi thing. They were making up conspiracy theories, like right away. They go straight to conspiracy theories.